All right, today we're going to talk a little bit about fruit tree pruning. And here we have an apple tree. Now, first of all, we're going to talk about specifically is upright laterals. So as you can see throughout this tree, there are a lot of these branches like this one next to me that is just kind of going straight up. It's just a straight vertical shoot kind of coming up. And it's good to prune these off because first off, since this is a fruit tree, all of our fruit is going to come off of more of these horizontal branches. So these ones that are kind of more horizontal and downwards. So really easy way is when I'm looking at this tree is I want to get rid of these upright laterals. Now, important thing to mention here is some people are like, why is my tree producing an enormous amount of upright laterals? This one's not too bad, but I've seen some trees where it's just like they're upright laterals just out of every square inch of the tree, and it's just kind of ridiculous. Trees have in their genes a certain level that they want to grow to. So for instance, when you open up that label and it says this tree grows to be between 15 to 20 feet tall, or it grows to be 25 to 35 feet tall, you can't force that 25 to 35 foot tall tree to grow to 15 feet no matter how much you prune it. Its genetic machinery has made it so it wants to grow that way. So oftentimes when we're forcing trees down to a certain size, the way they respond is making tons of these upright laterals. So with this tree, the upright laterals aren't too bad, but sometimes if we're seeing that, we may want to choose maybe one or two of them. Ideally one to be like either our central leader or to at least satisfy that tree's genetic need to grow to a certain height. So I might choose one over here and look for one that looks strong, that can grow up nice and tall, and let that be our one to satisfy that tree's genetic needs. This tree, however, this isn't a ton of upright laterals. This is pretty easy to manage. So I'm just going to chop off all the upright laterals off this tree. To do that, I got a nice pair of loppers here. Before I do it, I make sure I sterilize my loppers if I've been cutting at other trees. So I can do that with either some alcohol or some 1% or 0.1% solution of bleach. I think it's 0.1%, I believe. Let me, don't quote me on that. And then I'm just going to come over here and we'll start cutting off these branches. And so if you want to come a little closer, if you want to see here. So here is the branch I'm wanting to cut off. And honestly, since this one's low, I'd probably do my hand pruners because it's a little easier. But when I'm cutting this, some people will cut up right here. Like those cut it like at wherever's easiest. Cut right there. But then you leave this little nubbin right here. And I don't like this little nubbin here because you can see there's a bud right there. So it's just going to shoot off and make another upright lateral there. I want to cut this thing close to the base. And so you can see at the base here, there's like this little, like a shoulder, you could say. So you want to cut outside this shoulder because that's where it has the most genetic machinery to make it self-heal quickly. So I want to cut above this little shoulder where the wood gets kind of rough, just kind of right in here. So I'm going to bring up my loppers. And honestly, I wish I had a little pair of hand pruners with me. It'd be a lot easier to make this cut. And I'll just bring it right there. And make a little cut right there. And see, that's why I wanted the little tiny pruners, because I made a little bit of a rough cut. You know, you want to use these things for bigger branches. This is just what I had on hand. But I'm going to come back up with the little tiny pair so I can clean that up. And you have your cut looking all gnarly like that with all that sticking up wood. That's just more area for disease to show up. So I'm going to do another cut on that one, make it look a little better. We don't want that being there. But hey, it's kind of just good to see things that you don't want to do and what doesn't look good. So, but for some of these taller branches, like ones up here, there's a nice upright lateral here. I can easily reach up these things without getting on a ladder. Eyeball where it's going down, and boom. That one I can see there actually made a nice clean cut. And I can take off other branches next to it like that. Just kind of work my way on that. So this tree looks pretty good. I really like the look of this tree, but sometimes you'll find some older trees that someone just gave it like a crown cut, like they just thinned the top off it and it just caused it to make tons of upright laterals. Sometimes in those situations, I'll actually promote the growth of weaker branches so it takes energy away from those upright laterals. So I'm just gonna kind of work my way around, just kind of cut off all these upright branches, leaving the small ones. And this makes things pretty easy because I can kind of just identify what's sticking straight up and just go ahead and take it off. Go from different angles. Other things I'm going to be looking for are crossing branches. So you can see right here, there are a couple branches right here. Notice how this branch is touching this branch. It seems like a small thing, like, okay, it's just lightly touching it, who cares? Well, that'll eventually turn into disease growth, so I'm actually going to snap that off right there. And I'll take that off. And if you want to make sure you get a nice clean cut, the reason I was able to get a clean cut on that other one is you really want to make sure you're bringing the branch in as close to the base. Like, you don't want to be cutting with your branch out here. So let me show an example. Let's cut this one out under here. This is kind of a little weak branch, so I don't want to be cutting at the edge of this thing with my things. I want to be coming so it's like really coming into the inside. That made a lot cleaner cut that way. All right, so that is kind of my tips for pruning upright laterals and kind of going through and getting crossing branches. It's a really easy way to start pruning if you have like a simple step like, okay, here are the upright laterals. Let's go from there.